Hey guys, it's Tim Sheeser here for TechSpot, and late last year I managed to take a look at the Alienware Alpha, which was their in-home Steam gaming console, which I found to be pretty decent apart from a few minor issues. So I went back to Alienware in 2015 and asked for another product, this time the Alienware 13, which is their gaming laptop with, of course, the 13-inch display. It's a fairly typical laptop. It's designed to be thinner and lighter than the previous models, the previous Alienware gaming laptops, of course, and below it we have the Graphics Amplifier, which is an interesting little box where you can actually chuck in a full desktop class GPU inside and have that power games. Nice for having that portability of the laptop and the power of the desktop GPU, so you can have that sort of sitting on your desk. This is, of course, an unboxing and hands-on video, so we're going to take a look inside both of these boxes here and take a look at what Alienware is providing with both of these products. So let's get straight to it. So the smaller box that I received does contain the Alienware 13. Again, my home address is absolutely plastered all over it, so it's not a very exciting box anyway, so unfortunately I can't show you that. But what I can show you is we get this nice little card here telling you about that we've joined the Alienware ecosystem when we get it, and of course the main highlight is the Alienware 13 system itself, which is quite a hefty machine, at least compared to the Yoga 3 Pro that I was using, but it's a completely different class of products. So we'll just go through and check out the rest of the stuff that we get just briefly. We get some quick start guides if you're interested in that sort of thing. We also get down in here and around all this padding. There's actually quite a lot of padding, so it's a very well packaged device. In here is the power brick, which is the standard Dell design, very similar to what we saw on the Alienware Alpha, so nothing too out of the ordinary there. Anyway, let's get all this stuff out of the way and we can take a look at the Alienware 13 itself. So as you guys can see here, this is the Alienware 13 laptop itself, and it's quite a hefty little machine. Of course, it's a bit thinner and lighter than some of the gaming laptops that we've seen before, and it's definitely still portable, but don't expect it to be nearly as thin or as light as devices like the Lenovo Yoga 3 Pro here, which are probably about half as heavy as the Alienware 13, but of course this is an Ultrabook. This has all the power that you will need, including a dedicated NVIDIA GPU. I believe it's the 860M, which could be a very capable performer in a laptop such as this. So the main design style here, we've got the standard Alienware Y shape right here, including the Alienware head and some of those black styles. It's not a perfect square. It does sort of taper off to each of these sizes. We'll just flip it over to take a look at some of the cooling solutions here. So we've got vents and fans all along this side here as well. It's telling you it's powered by Windows 8 Pro, and some removable sections here if you did want to upgrade, although you might need some very small screwdrivers to access those screws. Anyway, like the Alienware Alpha, those do vent out the back through these two different ports here. Before showing you the ports, I'll just show you the keyboard setup. Of course, we just flip it open like this. We've got the Alienware password. Thanks Dell PR for that. We've got a standard style keyboard. It's not chiclet, it is got the keys right up next to each other, and just on some initial inspection you actually get quite a lot of travel on this keyboard, which should make it quite nice for typing. We've also got here a trackpad. Feels a little bit too much friction for my liking on a trackpad, but we'll have to see how that goes. Again, these are my initial impressions just using it right now. So we've got quite a nice keyboard. We've got standard function keys and everything on there, some notification LEDs as well as the power button right there. And the screen itself, which you can see is a standard, it's not glossy, it is in fact matte, which is why you can see some of those lights there reflecting in that way. And there are three different display sizes, or three different display resolutions, I mean. They're all 13-inch, but you can get the 760p, which is not too fancy, 1366 by 768. You can upgrade to 1080p and also Quad HD. So you've got a range of resolutions, and all of them come with fairly similar internal hardware. Let's take a look at the ports. The Alpha does come with quite a few ports. Here we have the headphone and microphone jack, USB, and also the power port. On the back we have the connector for the graphics amplifier, which I'll show you in just a sec, alongside mini display port, I believe, as well as a full HDMI port. And on this side we have two USB ports and Ethernet. These are all typical jacks you'd find on any sort of gaming laptop, and there's nothing along this edge. But again, you can sort of see the thickness of the device there. This is not going to be a portable machine that you'll be taking around to places, but you do have that advantage that you can actually take it places, but don't expect it to be like an Ultrabook. This is a gaming laptop, something I haven't checked out too many of in my time reviewing, so it'll definitely be an interesting sort of device. Anyway, let's move along to the second box that I managed to get with this. So if you purchase the Graphics Amplifier, which is a separate accessory, which I believe retails for around $300, you will get this much larger box. In fact, this box is absolutely enormous. And inside here, we have the Graphics Amplifier. So this itself here is the quite hefty amplifier, which I'm going to take out and show you in just a sec, because we do also get the box of quite interesting cables actually. So we've got some information and guides here, but this is the main cable that I wanted to show you. I believe is fully sealed. So we'll take that out just briefly, and we'll show you exactly what you get on the end of this cable, because what we've got inside here is actually full PCIe. We'll just bring that in for you. This is PCIe 4 times inside a cable. So it's not 8x or 16x like you would normally see a graphics card using if you're using either Crossfire and just a single GPU setup. So we are limited to 4x, which might affect performance. We'll have to see how that goes in the full review, but you get quite a wide connector here, and this does plug into the back. Completely proprietary, but I am told that this will be supported in future Alienware laptops. So things like the 15 and 17, which I believe were announced at CES just recently, will also come with support for the amplifier, though I will have to check that. You also get inside here the standard power cable, because there is a power supply inside this amplifier, of course, to run that graphics card. Now, I was told at PAX Australia, where I first saw the amplifier, that if they were to make this an 8x or 16x cable, it would have to be a lot bigger and a lot thicker. So that's why they've gone with 4x, but it should give you very similar performance to, playing games on a desktop, and that's what the Alienware Graphics Amplifier is supposed to be. Anyway, let's actually check out that amplifier, because that is, of course, the most interesting part of this. So I've taken that absolutely monster box out of the way to give you a look at the size of the Graphics Amplifier. This is a massive device here. I mean, it's much bigger than the Alienware Alpha itself, and even the 13. I mean, you can see the size of the 13 here compared to the size of the actual amplifier. The amplifier is huge. That is, of course, to sit a full desktop GPU in there, and it will, of course, be smaller than any desktop class sort of setup that you might have. If you actually had a full tower or anything, it's going to be smaller than this. So the main way that you open the amplifier is that there's a little switch down on this side that you simply pull backwards. You hear a little clicking sound, and then with quite a bit of force, you simply yank that upwards, and then the internals are exposed. There's quite a few clips along this side, which is why you might hear a bit of clicking noises as that opens, why it might need a bit more force than you're expecting. Anyway, inside, normally you wouldn't get a GPU included. You would just get the power supply and the case, which can be quite a hefty expense, considering that this whole system costs around $300 just for the power supply and the case, and the GPU could be anywhere upwards of $200 for something decent, bringing this whole system to $500, even $600 or $700 if you want to get those high-end cards. This particular power supply is 385 watts, so it's good for any single or dual GPU setups, though you can't actually run 2 cards in here. You'll need to buy a dual GPU card because it's only 1 slot. Now here we have 2 little connectors that, of course, are just sitting in little slots in case, just some nice cable management there if you don't need both of the cords, and those, of course, just plug straight into the top there. This is a fairly standard power supply. There's also the 24-pin plug there that plugs in to power the componentry and everything else that's in this little system. There's quite a bit of free space at the back here that I might have liked to see used by a hard drive or a solid state drive or something like that, but for cooling reasons and various other reasons, there hasn't been anything included there. And you can see the small, I think it's about 80mm cooling fan there that just sucks hot air or cool air in from the front and gets heated up by this blower style card and vents it out the back. It'll be interesting to see when I implement or insert a card in here that's not a blower style card, what the sort of cooling is like in there, because it's designed to vent all the hot air out the back. So if you have just a card with just fans on it that sort of vents out into the case, how the cooling of this particular system will work. So we're definitely going to check that out. Of course, it's not just NVIDIA compatible, it is also compatible with AMD cards if you want to chuck one in there. So it's quite an interesting little device there to complement the Alienware 13 and any future Alienware laptops from them. So definitely interesting. I'll have to check out how it performs and what sort of extra performance you can expect from buying the amplifier in the full review of that later on. So I hope you all enjoyed that quick look at the Alienware 13 and the Graphics Amplifier. Don't forget to check back on TechSpot.com in the coming weeks for a full review, as well as don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel because we will have more content such as this, including unboxings, hands-on, and also full reviews right here in video format. So don't miss that. Thanks guys, we'll catch you later.